"You're an anchor, Ethan," she said, standing in the kitchen with her suitcase half-zipped. "I'm not dragging you into my next chapter. If you can't handle how I live, get out of the way." I nodded like she'd just told me the weather. "Okay, I will." 3 days later, she came home from Arizona to an empty apartment, a silent closet, and one short note on the counter. I should back up because I know how this sounds. Brielle and I met at a Saturday night food truck thing in Fort Collins, Colorado, the kind with string lights and local bands and overpriced lemonade. I was there with my coworker DeAndre from the claims office. He was trying to convince me I needed a personality outside spreadsheets. Brielle was in line behind us, complaining loudly to her friend Tasha that the taco place was gatekeeping cilantro. I laughed without meaning to. She turned around, gave me a look like I'd been invited into the conversation, and started talking like we already knew each other. That was Brielle, social first, details later. On paper, we worked. I'm steady, I'm the guy who renews car registration early and has a folder called Receipts 2025. I don't love crowds, I don't love drama. I love predictable things, morning coffee, clean counters, a plan. Brielle was the opposite. She worked as an events coordinator for a boutique fitness studio, the kind that does pop-up classes and wellness weekends. Her calendar looked like confetti. She knew everyone. She could walk into a room and leave with 3 new friends, a free drink, and an invite to something happening next Thursday. At the start, it felt like balance. She pulled me out, I grounded her. That was the story we told ourselves. And I did make sacrifices, real ones. I moved into her place even though I'd been happy in my quieter one-bedroom. Her apartment was nicer, closer to Old Town, and she loved her building's community vibe. So I sublet my place, sold a bunch of furniture, and squeezed my life into her space. I took on more than my share of the bills because her pay was variable. Events work is feast or famine, so I covered the internet and power in my name. I paid for the renter's insurance, and I set up auto-pay for the shared streaming stuff because she'd forget. I also adjusted myself in smaller ways that add up. I started going to things I didn't care about because she cared. Her coworker's birthday at a crowded brewery, a networking mixer that was basically just loud music with name tags, a sunrise hike when I'd worked late the night before. And I tried, I really did. Here's the thing, I didn't mind her being social. I liked seeing her happy. I liked that she was wanted. I liked that she had a life. What I didn't like was the way her social life slowly started treating our relationship like it was optional. It wasn't one moment, it was a drip. She'd say she was just grabbing a quick drink and come home at 2 a.m. with her phone face down, acting like I was weird for being awake. She'd detail stories that didn't quite line up, nothing big, just fuzzy edges, like she couldn't keep track of which version she'd told me. And she got this new habit where she'd introduce me as Ethan, like the label was embarrassing. I wish that was the worst part. The blow-up started over a trip, not even a vacation, technically, a brand weekend. Her studio was partnering with a sponsor for a weekend of classes and content in Scottsdale. She was excited in a way I hadn't seen in months. New outfits laid out on the bed, hair appointment booked. She kept practicing poses in the mirror, laughing at herself, then redoing them anyway. I was on the couch with my laptop, finishing a report, and she was packing like she was racing the clock. I asked calmly, "Who's going with you again?" She didn't look up. Tasha, a couple instructors, some people from other studios. Names, I asked, not like a cop, like a boyfriend trying to understand the shape of a weekend. She sighed like I'd asked her to do taxes. "Why do you need names?" "Because you're going out of state with a mixed group and you've been vague," I said. "I'm not trying to fight, I just want clarity." That's when her tone flipped. That smooth, friendly voice she used with strangers disappeared, and the Brielle I got in private showed up. "You're doing the thing," she said. "What thing?" "The controlling thing," she snapped. "The suspicious thing, the I need to monitor you thing." I actually laughed once because it was so off. Brielle, asking who you're traveling with isn't monitoring. She zipped the suitcase hard enough that the zipper barked. "It's not my job to manage your insecurity." "I'm not insecure," I said. "I'm paying the utilities on an apartment I'm not on the lease for, and I'm asking a basic question." Her eyes flashed. Wow, there it is, the ledger. I didn't bring up money, I said. I brought up the trip. She threw a sports bra into the suitcase like it offended her. I'm going, I'm working, it's content, you wouldn't get it. Try me, I said. She turned to face me fully then, and I saw it, the look she got right before she did something that would make me the villain no matter what I said. You're an anchor, Ethan, she said, clear and cold. I'm not dragging you into my next chapter. If you can't handle how I live, get out of the way. The room went quiet after that, like even the air didn't want to move. I didn't yell, I didn't beg, I didn't do the desperate thing. I just felt something in me click into place. That's when I realized, I thought, this isn't a misunderstanding, this is how she sees me. I nodded once. Okay, I said. She blinked like she expected fireworks. Okay. Okay, I repeated. Have a good trip. She looked suspicious for a second, like she was trying to figure out what I was planning. Then she grabbed her suitcase and went back to packing, satisfied, like she'd won. She kissed me on the cheek on her way out the next morning, quick and performative. Don't be weird, she said, like that was the whole issue. When the door closed, I didn't do anything dramatic. I didn't punch a wall. I didn't text paragraphs. I just sat there at the kitchen table and listened to the refrigerator hum. Then, because my brain is wired the way it is, I opened the shared email account. We had a shared email for bills. It was her idea at first. She said it made things clean. Utilities, renters' insurance, building notices, that kind of stuff. I'd been the one actually checking it because she'd forget the password and then blame the internet. I wasn't digging. I was literally looking for the water bill. A new email popped up at the top. Subject line, your stay details are confirmed. It was from a resort in Scottsdale. I stared at it for a second, then clicked. Here's the part where people will say, well, you shouldn't have looked. It was in the shared bill inbox, the one we both used. She sent the confirmation there. Inside was a reservation summary, dates lined up with her trip, room type 2 queens, guests 4. And the guest names were listed. Brielle Hayes, Tasha Morno, Dylan Cairns, Chase Lattimore. 2 guys. Not coworkers, not instructors, not people from other studios in a vague way. 2 full, named men on the same reservation. I sat back in my chair and stared at the screen. Maybe there's an innocent explanation, I told myself automatically. Maybe it's a group discount. Maybe they're in separate rooms but booked together. Then I noticed the line that said, in plain text, 2 queen beds / 1 room. 1 room, 4 people. My chest went tight, but my hands stayed steady on the mouse. And then, because life loves timing, another notification popped in, a payment email from the airline. Your itinerary has been updated. Same dates, same group booking, same 2 names. That was confirmation enough for me. Not because I could prove cheating from a hotel email, I'm not an idiot, but because she'd chosen the worst option, lie to my face, then accidentally file the proof into our shared bills inbox like I was invisible. That's when the calm really settled in. I didn't confront her, I didn't send screenshots, I didn't do a gotcha. I just understood the situation clearly for the first time. She wasn't asking for freedom, she was asking for me to fund stability while she acted single. And she'd already told me what to do, get out of the way. So I did. I spent that first day making a list, not a revenge list, a logistics list. Here's where it gets even more boring and satisfying. First, I checked the lease. The apartment lease was in her name, always had been. She'd gotten a move-in special because the building was trying to fill units. When I moved in, we talked about adding me officially, but she said it was extra paperwork and not necessary. I didn't push because I trusted her. So legally, I was an occupant, not a tenant. The utility accounts were in my name, a couple subscriptions were in my name, and our finances were messy. We didn't share a bank account, but we did share access in ways that matter. I'd added her as an authorized user on my credit card for groceries and gas because it was easier. She had my Hulu login. I had her building app access because she'd forget packages. The point is, I could leave cleanly without illegally removing her. I didn't need to change locks. I didn't need to toss her stuff. I just needed to detach. I took one breath and started doing it like a project. Over the next 72 hours, while she was in Scottsdale posting smiling photos and sunsets, I did the following. I opened a new checking account at a different bank and moved my direct deposit. I didn't want accidental access or any shared devices autofilling my old login. I removed Brielle as an authorized user from my credit card. The rep asked if I was sure. I said yes. They issued a replacement card with a new number for me. I changed passwords on everything that was mine: email, banking, credit card portal, phone carrier, my work benefits login. Not her stuff, just mine. I turned on two-factor authentication. I called the utility companies and scheduled shut-off dates for the accounts in my name, timed for a week out, not immediate. I wasn't trying to strand her in the dark. I told them the tenant would need to transfer service into her name. I booked a small storage unit on the other side of town, month to month, nothing dramatic, just a place to put boxes while I figured out my next move. I reserved a moving van for a weekday morning and asked Andre if he could help for 2 hours. He didn't ask a bunch of questions. He just said, send the address. I packed my personal documents first: passport, birth certificate, insurance papers, then my electronics, then clothes, then the stuff that was obviously mine. I didn't touch her drawers. I didn't touch her jewelry. I didn't touch anything that wasn't clearly mine. I filmed a slow walkthrough of the apartment with my phone before I moved anything, not to be petty, to protect myself. Furniture, walls, appliances, anything that could later turn into "you damaged my place." I put a forwarding address in with USPS for my mail only. I also updated my address on my driver's license portal, my job HR profile, and my car insurance. And yes, I did one petty but legal thing. I took every velvet hanger I'd bought and left her the old twisted wire ones she'd been using. I know, it's dumb, but when you've been treated like an anchor, you get one tiny, harmless win. That's when I realized how much of the apartment was actually my effort. Not just money, energy. The trash bags I always bought, the dish soap, the little toolbox in the drawer, the extra phone chargers, the boring things that keep life running. I didn't take shared stuff just to hurt her. I took what I'd paid for and used. She could replace paper towels. She couldn't replace trust. On the third day, DeAndre showed up at 9 a.m. with coffee and that look that says, I'm your friend, but also I'm judging your taste in women. We loaded the van fast. I had everything boxed and stacked by the door. I worked like I was trying to beat a storm. While we carried my dresser out, DeAndre nodded toward the kitchen counter. You leaving something? Yeah, I said. I'd written a note on a plain sticky pad. No essay, no insults. 8 words. Anchors stay behind, I'm not staying. I left my keys on top of the note. Not the building key fob, that was hers, but the spare mailbox key and the little spare I had. And I left one more thing on the counter, the tiny cactus-shaped enamel pin she'd given me when I got my promotion last year. She said, it's you, survive anything, low maintenance. I used to keep it on my work lanyard. I'd taken it off when things started feeling off between us, like I didn't want to wear something from her every day when I wasn't sure what we were. Now I set it beside the note, like returning a borrowed symbol. Then I walked out. No speech, no tears, just the sound of the door shutting. That afternoon, my phone lit up. First call, Brielle. I let it go to voicemail. Second call, Brielle again. Then a text. Where are you? 10 minutes later, is this a joke? Then answer me, this is insane. I waited until my hands stopped shaking, because yes, they were shaking, even if my face was calm, and then I sent one text. I moved out, you'll find a note on the counter. Please email me if you need to coordinate items. That's it. No arguing, no screenshots, no caught you. Her response came fast. What note, Ethan? Stop, you're being dramatic. Deny phase. Then she called again, and when I didn't answer, it flipped. You stole my hangers and my speaker. I'm calling the cops. Anger phase. I didn't get baited. I replied, I took my belongings only. I recorded a walkthrough before leaving. If you believe something of yours is missing, email a list. Then came the guilt. A new text softer. I didn't mean what I said. I was stressed. Please talk to me. Bargaining showed up right after. Can we just meet and clear this up like adults? I'll come home early. We can do therapy. I'll explain everything. And then rage because I still didn't jump. You're punishing me. You're cold. You always do this. You think you're so perfect. That night, the flying monkeys arrived. First was Tasha. Tasha and I had never liked each other. She smiled at me in person, but she talked like I was Brielle's boring security blanket. Tasha texted, "You seriously abandoned her. She's having a panic attack. What is wrong with you?" I replied, "If she's having a medical emergency, call 911. If she needs support, she has friends. I'm not available." Then came Mason, her older brother. I'd met him twice. Big guy, loud, the kind who thinks volume equals authority. Mason called me 3 times in a row, then texted, "You don't get to do this. She lives there. You can't just disappear. I'm coming to find you." That's when I felt my stomach drop, because I don't play games with threats, even vague ones. So I responded with facts. "I'm not on the lease. I moved out peacefully. Do not come to my workplace or home. If you need to communicate, email only." He replied, "You sound like a robot. No wonder she." I blocked him. I know people will say blocking is immature, but I'm not required to be reachable to someone who's trying to intimidate me. The next day, Brielle tried a new angle. She emailed me, subject line, "Closure." The email was long, too long. She wrote about how I abandoned her, how I weaponized silence, how my coldness was emotionally abusive. She said she'd never felt safe with my controlling energy. She said the guys on the booking were just friends and I was making it sexual. Then, right in the middle, she wrote, "If you don't come talk to me in person, I'll have no choice but to tell people the truth about you." Smear threat. There it was. I didn't respond emotionally. I responded like I was replying to a customer complaint. "I'm willing to coordinate exchange of belongings in a public place. Please send a list of items you believe are mine and items you believe are yours. For safety and clarity, communication will remain in writing." 2 hours later, she emailed again, "So you're really going to do this? After everything, I could ruin you." I didn't reply. Instead, I forwarded the emails to myself and saved them. Because that's the thing, when someone shows you they'll rewrite reality, you don't fight them with speeches. You protect yourself with documentation. A week later, she finally shifted into the sad phase hard. Voice memo, 2 minutes of crying. "I'm sorry, I didn't mean it. I just wanted you to trust me. Please, I miss you. I can't sleep." I listened once. Then I deleted it. Not because I'm heartless, because I knew if I stepped back into that emotional storm, I'd end up right where I started, steadying her while she tested boundaries. I coordinated the exchange through email. I offered one of 2 options, daytime in a public parking lot or a friend drop-off. She chose friend drop-off. Colin, a mutual from the building, ended up being the go-between. Colin worked as a barback downtown and had that exhausted, neutral energy of someone who's seen every kind of mess. He met me outside a coffee shop with a tote bag of my stuff, my spare laptop charger, a hoodie, a couple books, my mechanic receipts folder, thank God, and the cactus pin. It was in a little plastic bag, like evidence. Colin shrugged. "She said to give you this too." I held it in my palm for a second, tiny, stupid, somehow heavy. I nodded, "Thanks, man." Colin hesitated like he wanted to say more, then just said, "Yeah, good luck," and walked away fast like my situation was contagious. I wish that was the end. But the story always has one more scene. About 6 weeks later, I was at the main post office off College Avenue. I'd rented a small PO box for a few months because I was bouncing between a short-term sublet and figuring out my next lease, and I didn't want mail going to Brielle's building. It was late afternoon and the lobby was busy. People in line, holiday packages, that cranky fluorescent lighting that makes everyone look tired. I was waiting at the counter because I had a certified letter to pick up. I heard my name like a hook catching fabric. Lythan. I turned, and there she was. Brielle looked different, not in a glow-up way, in a worn-out way. Hair pulled back like she hadn't planned to be seen, eyes puffy. Her confidence was still there, but it had dents. For a split second, I felt that old instinct to smooth things over. Then I remembered the email, "I could ruin you." And it cleared. She walked closer, stopping a few feet away like we were strangers who'd once shared a language. "You can't even look at me," she said. I kept my voice even. "This isn't the place." She laughed sharp. "Oh, now you care about public places." People in line glanced over, not enough to cause a scene, but enough that I could feel the attention. She dropped her voice. "You really threw everything away because of a hotel email." I didn't correct her, I didn't debate, I didn't relitigate. That's when I realized, again, she still thinks this is about convincing me, like I'm a door she can push open if she hits the right spot. I said, "Brielle, I'm not doing this." Her face tightened. "You owe me a conversation." "I don't," I said, still calm. "I offered coordination for belongings. That's done. I'm asking you to stop contacting me." She leaned in like she could pressure reality. "So you're just done, like I'm nothing." I looked at her for a beat, not angry, not smug, just finished. "You told me I was in your way," I said, "so I moved." Her mouth opened, then closed. I reached into my pocket where I'd absent-mindedly been rubbing the edge of the cactus pin. I don't know why I'd kept carrying it. Habit, maybe, or my brain needing a physical reminder. I held it out to her, pin resting on my palm like a tiny green question mark. "You gave me this," I said. "I don't want it." She stared at it like it was insulting. "I don't want your stupid pin," she snapped, loud enough that the guy behind me shifted. I nodded once like that was fine. I slipped it back into my pocket. Then I said my closing line, the cleanest truth I had. "I'm not the person you negotiate with anymore." And I turned back to the counter. The clerk called my number. I signed for my letter. I walked out without looking over my shoulder. Outside, the air was cold and clear in that Colorado way that feels like it's rinsing your lungs. I sat in my car for a minute and just breathed. Not because I missed her, because it hit me how quiet my life was now. No accusations, no late night, "Where are you?" No pretending confusion is normal, no walking on eggshells around someone else's mood. The weeks after I left weren't instantly magical. I didn't wake up a new man with a six-pack and a perfect apartment. It was more basic than that. I slept through the night. My bank balance stopped doing that slow leak thing where you're always covering just this once. Work got easier because my head wasn't split in half all day. I started cooking again, simple meals, listening to podcasts instead of waiting for the sound of keys in a lock. DeAndre dragged me into a low-stakes rec league where nobody cares if you're good, they just care if you show up. I made friends I didn't have to perform for. I even went on one casual date with a woman I met at a used bookstore. Nothing intense, just a normal conversation where nobody tried to win. And the biggest change was this. I stopped feeling like I had to prove I deserved basic respect. Because here's the thing people don't tell you. Sometimes the quiet power move isn't revenge, it's refusal. Refusal to argue with someone committed to misunderstanding you. Refusal to fund a life that treats you like furniture. Refusal to be the anchor for a boat that keeps choosing storms. If you made it this far, drop a comment and tell me what you would have done when you saw that reservation email. And if you want more stories like this, simple, real, and satisfying, hit like, subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.